Hi, everybody. Welcome to another English class here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I am from the United States. I am one of the English teachers here on Verbling, and in this hour, we're going to be having a reading class. I got an article from Time magazine, and it's related to a class that I did last week on artificial intelligence. And last week we were talking about artificial intelligence, reading about it, and the idea that the technology is getting better and better, and so some people are concerned about that. So hi everybody, come on in and we will get started. I don't want to talk about it too much before we have people here. So hi Walter, how are you?
Hi Lisa, how are you doing? I'm fine.
I'm doing well, thank you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Where are you calling from? Where are you from, Walter?
I'm from Argentina. So
Okay,
I'm
cool.
calling from Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Welcome. And Patricia, how are you doing?
Hello everybody.
Hi, where are you calling from?
From Barcelona.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Welcome. And Oscar, you're back.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, and Greg is joining us. So, yeah, we'll wait a couple minutes here. We'll just say hi and welcome everybody and pull up the article that we're going to be reading, and I'll talk about it a little bit. If you want to join, if you're watching, you're coming to Verbling, seeing what classes are happening right now, and you're trying to decide if you want to join or not, go ahead and we're going to be reading. So if you want to read along with us, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. And so we're going to have time to read an article, go over vocabulary, and probably we'll have time to discuss as well. So when we discuss, everybody hopefully gets a chance to make a comment. What do you think about the article? What do you think about the topic? That type of thing. So in a reading class, you actually get to do a lot of things where you're going to be listening, you're going to be reading out loud, you're going to be talking. So we call it a reading class, but it involves a lot of learning and a lot of opportunities to practice English. So hi, Greg. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Cool. And Alexi. Welcome, Alexi. Hi.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Okay, welcome everybody, and we're going to read this article. This is the link that I put up. I'll put it up one more time here in the Verbling chat, so if people are coming and they want to see it. This is from Time magazine, which is a popular magazine here in the United States, and the article is called Don't Fear Artificial Intelligence, AI for short, and of course it's under the technology and ideas section of Time magazine, and this is of course coming from time.com, and we're going to read this article on here on the whoops, we don't want to watch the advertisements, so we're going to go here to the document. And we're going to read this together. Now, last week, maybe some of you were in the class, we were reading about a conference that they had in Puerto Rico where some people were very concerned about the idea of artificial intelligence. So the basic idea is that these super machines, robots and things, are being programmed and they're actually starting to be able to learn how to do things. So you program them first, and then they actually learn similarly to how humans learn. And some people are very concerned about this because of some potential dangers about how people will use this technology. So this is kind of an article that's saying don't be afraid. And it's written by this guy, Kurzweil. And he has written 5 books, so he's the author of 5 books on artificial intelligence, including his most recent book, which is a New York Times bestseller called How to Create a Mind. All right, so he's telling us not to be afraid. So we're going to read this together. Let me make it a little bigger so people can see it if they're just looking at it on the screen. The way we do this is everybody's going to have a turn to read a little bit at a time, and I will read first. When I'm reading, that means you get to listen, so you'll be listening to how I'm pronouncing things and how my intonation, and then you'll have a chance to read, and then we'll just go from there. I'll go over some of the words, vocabulary, that may be new to some of you, may not be new to everybody. If you have any questions at any time, you can ask, or you can ask in the Verbling chat or the group chat. You can also make comments while we're reading, things like that. So you can participate as much as you want. Okay, here we go. So, hi Sergio, welcome. I saw that you joined. Hi, we're just going to get started here. So you're just in time. Two great thinkers see danger in AI. Here's how to make it. Stephen Hawking, a physicist, recently warned that artificial intelligence, once it surpasses human intelligence, could pose a threat to the existence of human civilization. Elon Musk, the pioneer of digital money, private spaceflight, and electric cars, has voiced similar concerns. Okay, Alexi, why don't we go ahead and start with you today?
Okay. Two great thinkers see danger in all. Here is how to make it safe. Stephen Hawking, the preeminent physicist, recently warned that artificial intelligence (AI), once it surpasses human intelligence, could pose a threat to the existence of human civilization. Elon Musk, the pioneer of digital money, private spaceflight, and electric cars, has voiced similar concerns.
Concerns. Okay, so this is what we heard about in our last class last week. So Stephen Hawking, so some of you might be familiar with him. He's a preeminent, just means he's like a famous, world-renowned, highly regarded physicist. And so he has recently warned, so he's given a warning, telling people be careful about this artificial intelligence, because he believes that at the time, when you say once, when it surpasses human intelligence, when it goes beyond, when it becomes smarter than we are, this could pose a threat. So to pose a threat means to be dangerous. It could be dangerous to the existence of human civilization. So to us as humans, this might be a dangerous thing. Elon Musk, he's another guy. He's a pioneer. Somebody who's a pioneer means they were the first ones to do something. So he's actually the co-founder of PayPal. So that's digital money. He's also creating private spaceships and rockets and things like that to explore space, and also electric cars. He has voiced. To voice a concern means to also to bring up a concern or to talk about his concerns, and they're similar or somewhat the same as Stephen Hawking. So both of these two great thinkers are worried, and they've been telling us to be careful. If AI becomes an existential threat, it won't be the first one. Humanity was introduced to existential risk when I was a child, sitting under my desk during the civil defense drills of the 1950s. Since then, we have encountered comparable specters, like the possibility of a bioterrorist creating a new virus for which humankind has no defense. Technology has always been a double-edged sword, since fire kept us warm, but also burned down our villages. Okay, hi Sarah, welcome. So Greg, it's your turn, Greg. You can read that paragraph there.
Okay. If AI becomes an existential threat, it won't be the first one. Humanity was introduced to existential risk when I was a child, sitting under my desk during the civil defense drill of the 1950s. Since then, we have encountered comparable specters like the possibility of bioterrorists creating a new virus for which humankind has no defense. Technology has always been a double-edged sword. Since fire kept us warm, but also burned down our villages.
Okay, so let me just remind everybody. So this is Kurzweil. This is the author, and he's writing about this. He's obviously starting off saying, yes, these two people who are very smart, intelligent guys, great thinkers, are concerned. But he's going on into the next paragraph saying, but we've always had this type of threat. So an existential threat means a threat to existence, to the existence of humans, something that could destroy humans. So it won't be the first time that this has happened if, in fact, it is a threat, if AI, or artificial intelligence. And then he gives us some history. So humanity, meaning people, we were introduced to existential risk. Again, existential meaning our own existence. So we were at risk of being obliterated, which means destroyed completely, during the Cold War, when we had civil defense drills. These were when kids had to, you heard an alarm and you hid under your desk because of the possibility of a nuclear bomb hitting your town or something like that. So these were drills. These were practice drills where kids were practicing in case. And so this was happening in the United States, where you would hear a siren and then there would be the drill. So there was the nuclear war was a possibility that could destroy human beings. And also we have encountered. Encounter means to come across, or we've experienced other comparable, similar type of specters. Specters, something that could, it's a possible danger, such as bioterrorism. So using like biological weapons to terrorize populations. Maybe somebody could create a new virus. These are things that we have been afraid of that could kill us all, a new virus or something. So technology, his main point here is technology has always been a double-edged sword. So there's good and the bad. So if it's double-edged, it means there's good and there's bad. Even with fire, when humans first discovered how to use fire, of course it can keep us warm, but it can also burn down our villages, burn down our homes. So it's good and it's possibly bad. It's dangerous as well. The typical dystopian futurist movie has one or two individuals or groups fighting for control of the AI. Or we see the AI battling the humans for world domination. But this is not how AI is being integrated into the world today. AI is not in one or two hands. It's in 1 billion or 2 billion hands. A kid in Africa with a smartphone has more intelligent access to knowledge than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. As AI continues to get smarter, its use will only grow. Virtually everyone's mental capabilities will be enhanced by it within a decade. Oscar.
Yes.
You can read that one there.
Okay. The typical dystopian futurist movie has one or two individuals or groups fighting for the control of the AI, or we see the AI battling the humans for the world domination. But this is not how AI is being integrated in the world today. All is not in one or two hands. It's 1 billion or 2 billion hands. A kid in Africa with a smartphone has more intelligent access to knowledge than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. As AI continues to get smarter, its use will only grow. Virtually everyone's mental capabilities will be enhanced by it within a decade.
Okay. So we've had a lot of these kind of dystopian, futurist movies. The Hunger Games, for example, is one of those. Dystopian is kind of like the opposite of utopian. So instead of being a wonderful place, it's a kind of a dangerous place and not so wonderful place. And that's what a lot of people think the future is going to be like. And so we have a lot of movies that show the future of the world as a dystopia, so and not a great place, very divided, lots of conflict, things like that. So in these movies, this is what it looks like. You have one or two people or some groups fighting, and they're fighting for control of the artificial intelligence, the systems. Sometimes you even see the robots or something battling the humans, and they're trying to figure out who's going to dominate or rule or lead the world. So world domination is the plot of those type of movies. So we see those kind of movies, science fiction movies, but he's arguing that this is not how artificial intelligence is actually being integrated into the world. So it's not how we are using artificial intelligence. In fact, it's not in the hands of one or two evil people or the good and the bad, but lots and lots of people, billions of people have AI technology in their hands. And the example he gives here is a kid in Africa who has some kind of smartphone, has more access to knowledge. It means he can look up something on the internet and find out something more. He can do that more easily than the president of the United States could do 20 years ago. So now people can find out so much information quickly that was not possible just 20 years ago. As AI continues to get smarter, so learning more and more, it will continue to grow. And virtually everyone, so virtually you could also substitute the word practically or almost everyone's or basically everyone's mental capability. So our brains are going to be even more capable of knowing things. We're going to increase our own intelligence. We're going to enhance. Enhance means to make it better. So within a decade, so just within 10 years, all of us are going to have even better, more enhanced mental capabilities. All right, let's see here. Make sure everybody has something. We will still have conflicts among groups of people, each enhanced by AI. That is already the case. But we can take some comfort from a profound exponential decrease in violence, as documented in Steven Pinker's 2011 book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. According to Pinker, although the statistics vary somewhat from location to location, the rate of death in war is down hundreds-fold compared with 6 centuries ago. Okay, Patricia.
We will still have conflicts among groups of people, each enhanced by AI. That is already the case, but we can take some comfort from a profound exponential decrease in violence as documented in Steven Pinker's 2011 book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. According to Pinker, although the statistics vary somewhat from location to location, the rate of death in war is down hundredfold compared with 6 centuries ago.
Good. All right, so he's saying, of course, we're still going to have conflicts. Conflict is like an argument or a fight. People don't agree on things. So, of course, we're going to be having those, and each group will have, better equipment, better technology because of AI, and he says that is already the case. So that's already the situation that we have. Our militaries around the world are already using artificial intelligence. But he says we can take some comfort. So to take comfort just means to feel more comfortable. We can feel more comfortable because we've had a profound, which means significant, and exponential decrease in violence. So, in fact, in his book, Steven Pinker's book, he documents or he writes about, he gives proof that our world is actually less violent nowadays than it was in the past. So there are statistics, information, data that vary. They're not the same everywhere. It depends on what location of the world you're talking about. But in general, for example, the rate of death in war has gone down. So it has decreased by a lot, by hundreds fold. Fold means many times, hundreds of times less people have been dying in wars compared to 600 years ago, 6 centuries ago, where people were killing each other with swords and things like that, but a lot more people were dying. Okay, since that time, murders have declined tenfold, 10 times. People are surprised by this. The impression that violence is on the rise results from another trend: exponentially better information about what is wrong with the world, another development aided by AI. There are strategies we can deploy to keep emerging technologies like AI safe. Consider biotechnology, which is perhaps a couple of decades ahead of AI. Okay, we lost Sarah. Okay, Walter.
Okay. And since that time, murders have declined tenfold. People are surprised by this. The impression that violence is on the rise results from another trend: exponentially better information about what is wrong with the world, another development aided by AI. And there are strategies we can deploy to keep emerging technologies like AI safe. Consider biotechnology, which is perhaps a couple of decades ahead of AI. AI, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, since that time, all right, so murders, people killing other people, has also declined by a lot, more than 10 times. Declined means decreased, gone down, lots of different ways you can say that. People are surprised by this fact. We have the impression, or we think, that violence is on the rise. We think it's going up because we have better information. So exponentially better information. We know more when people are dying, things like that. So we think more people are dying, but in fact, it's not true. This is also something that has been aided by or helped by AI, the idea that we have more information available. But he's arguing that there are some strategies, some methods, some things that we can do, we can deploy. To deploy means to put out there into the environment to make sure that these emerging technologies, emerging means these things that are coming forth right now, make sure that they're safe. He wants us to consider. So to consider means to think about. So think about biotechnology, bio meaning like biological. This is perhaps a couple of decades ahead of. So we've been researching and using biotechnology a little bit longer than artificial intelligence. A meeting called the Asilomar Conference on Recombinant DNA was organized in 1975 to assess its potential dangers and devise a strategy to keep the field safe, the field of biotechnology. The resulting guidelines, which have been revised by the industry since then, have worked very well. There have been no significant problems, accidental or intentional, for the past 39 years. We are now seeing major advances in medical treatments reaching clinical practice, and thus far, none of the anticipated problems. Okay, Alexei.
Okay. A meeting called the Asilomar Conference of Recombinant DNA was organized in 1975 to assess its potential dangers and devise a strategy to keep the field safe. The resulting guidelines, which have been revised by the industry since then, have worked very well. There have been no significant problems, accidental or intentional, for the past 39 years. We are now seeing major advances in medical treatments reaching clinical practice and thus far none of anticipated problems.
Okay, so there was a meeting, and this is when they were starting to work in the lab, changing the genes, like genetically modifying the DNA and that type of stuff. And so they were meeting to assess potential dangers, so to evaluate, to try to think about what are the possible problems that we could have if we start working in the lab, changing, working with these DNA and genes and things like that. And so they devised a strategy. So to devise a strategy just means to come up with a plan, to create a strategy, a plan, to make sure that they were going to be safe, that the genetic engineering, things like that would be safe. And so they had some guidelines, the resulting guidelines. A guideline is like the rules, tells you what you can do, what you can't do, how are we going to work with these genes and things, this DNA. And so according to him, these have been revised, so they have been changed, updated, we say, and so they're working very well. According to him, there have been no significant problems, no important or problems either by accident, accidental, or intentional. Somebody didn't create something terrible. And he's claiming that we also are now seeing major or significant, important advances in medical treatments that are coming to the clinical practice. So it means that doctors, not just the researchers researching, but now doctors can use these treatments with patients, and we haven't seen any of the anticipated problems. So anticipated problems would be the ones that they thought might happen. If you anticipate a problem, it means you think you're going to have a problem, but they haven't seen any of those. Consideration of ethical guidelines for AI goes back to Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, which appeared in his short story Runaround in 1942, 8 years before Alan Turing introduced the field of AI in his 1950 paper Computing Machinery and Intelligence. The median view of AI practitioners today is that we are still several decades from achieving human-level AI. I am more optimistic and put the date at 2029, but either way, we do have time to devise ethical standards. Okay, great. Greg, your microphone. There you go.
Okay. Consideration of ethical guidelines of AI goes back to Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, which appeared in his short story Runaround in 1942, 8 years before Alan Turing introduced the field of the AI in his 1950 paper Computing Machinery and Intelligence. The median view of AI practitioners today is that we are still several decades from achieving human-level AI. I am more optimistic and put the date at 2029, but either way, we do have time to devise ethical standards.
Okay, consideration of. That means we have to think about, we have to consider, we have to devise, we have to come up with some type of ethical guidelines. So what's right, what's wrong, how are we going to decide what we should do with this artificial intelligence? And this goes back to, so already people were talking about the idea of having some rules, basically. And so in his book, he had the laws of robotics. So, what can robots do or what can they not do? And this was before Alan Turing actually introduced the field of AI. So he was one of the founders of the main guys who created this field of artificial intelligence in the 1950s. The median view, median meaning average. So basically, people who are AI practitioners or researchers, people using and developing AI technologies, they're still several decades from. So it's still going to happen, in the future, from achieving or getting human-level artificial intelligence. He's more optimistic, so he thinks it's going to happen even sooner. So he thinks it's going to happen more around 14 years from now, to 2029. But either way, it doesn't matter if it happens then or a little bit later. We still need to, and we still have time, we have enough time to devise ethical standards. So the people in this field, they have time to figure out how AI is going to be regulated, or how people can use it, for what purposes, that kind of idea. There are efforts at universities and companies to develop AI safety strategies and guidelines, some of which are already in place. Similar to the Asilomar guidelines, one idea is to clearly define the mission of each AI program and to build in encrypted safeguards to prevent unauthorized uses. Ultimately, the most important approach we can take to keep AI safe is to work on our human governance and social institutions. We are already a human-machine civilization. The best way to avoid destructive conflict in the future is to continue the advance of our social ideals, which has already greatly reduced violence. Okay, Oscar.
Okay. There are efforts at universities and companies to develop AI safety strategies and guidelines, some of which are already in place, similar to the similar guidelines. Or one idea is to clearly define the mission of each AI program and to build in encrypted safeguards to prevent unauthorized uses. Ultimately, the most important approach we can take to keep AI safe is to work on our human governance and social institutions. We are already a human-machine civilization. The best way to avoid destructive conflict in the future is to continue the advance of our social ideals, which has already greatly reduced violence.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. So he's saying again, people are already doing this. There are efforts. An effort is work that somebody's doing. So people are already working on developing, creating safety strategies and guidelines. So people who are using AI at universities and private companies, they're already thinking about this. They already have ways that they want to do things so that they're safe. And some of these ideas are already in place, we say. So they're already using certain strategies and guidelines to make sure that they are using this technology in a safe way. The guidelines that happen for the DNA, the recombinant DNA, one idea is to clearly define. So make sure really clearly that you understand what the mission or what the goal is of each program that you're using the AI for. Why are we doing this? What is the goal of this? Why should we use AI? And then once you know that, then you can build in, so that means to put in, in the programming of your artificial intelligence plan, you can put in some encrypted. So encrypted means safe from like hackers or something like that. So it's not going to be easy to get into the AI program. So this will prevent or keep unauthorized users from being able to get in and access the program. This happens already. This is a way to make messages safe. For example, you encrypt the data, so you make it different so that people can't really read it easily. All right, but he's saying ultimately. So kind of ultimately means like in the end, finally, basically, the most important thing we can do, the approach or the strategy that we can take, is to work on our human governance. You know, how do humans govern ourselves, and how do social organizations or institutions work together? So we're already a human machine. You know, our civilization is already controlled by humans, and we need to figure out how to avoid destructive conflict. So how do we stop destroying people, things, you know, properties, buildings, stuff like that? We have to keep working on our social ideals. How do we get along as societies with maybe different ideas, different religions, different cultures, things like that? And that has already been happening. So over the years, we've already reduced our violence in terms of the global community. Less people are being killed these days in war and stuff. Okay, AI today is advancing the diagnosis of disease, finding cures, developing renewable clean energy, helping to clean up the environment, providing high-quality education to people all over the world, helping the disabled, including providing Hawking's voice, and contributing in a myriad of ways. All right, let's give a little bit there. Alexi.
Okay. AI today is advancing the diagnosis of disease, finding cures, developing renewable clean energy, helping to clean up the environment, providing high-quality education to people all over the world, helping the disabled, including providing Hawking's voice, and contributing in a myriad of other ways.
Perfect. Okay. So artificial intelligence, AI, is advancing. So to advance means it's already helping a lot. It is aiding. It is assisting. It is making us be able to do things better in many different areas. So, and then he lists them here. So diagnosing diseases, so we can understand and diagnose, you know, you have this problem, and then we can help find a cure for these various problems. Also developing renewable clean energy. Renewable means something like solar, wind power. You can keep using it over and over again. Helping clean up the environment. High quality education, so meaning like we can use technology to provide better education to people around the world. Also helping disabled people, including people like Stephen Hawking, who have different disabilities, so technology can help them. And also contributing, so when you contribute, it means you help, you add something to it, so contributing in a myriad of other ways. So a myriad just means multiple ways, many different ways. We have the opportunity in the decades ahead to make major strides in addressing the grand challenges of humanity. AI will be the pivotal technology in achieving this progress. We have a moral imperative to realize this promise while controlling the peril. It won't be the first time we've succeeded in doing this. Okay, great.
Okay. We have the opportunity in the decades ahead to make major strides in addressing the grand challenges of humanity. AI will be the pivotal technology in achieving this progress. We have a moral imperative to realize this promise while controlling the peril. It won't be the first time we have succeeded in doing this.
Good. All right, so he's optimistic. He likes the idea of AI. That's the tone of this article. He's not critical of it. And so his belief is that we have an opportunity, we have a chance that in the decades ahead, so in the next 10, 20, 30 years, we can make major strides. A stride is like when you take a step. Okay, that's your stride. So we can make major steps. We can move forward in a big way. That's what he means. Big improvements in terms of addressing or dealing with, fixing, trying to figure out how to address the grand challenges, the big challenges of humanity, something like poverty, hunger, homelessness, war, diseases, things like that. Those are the challenges that we have as humans. How do we make our lives increasingly better? That's the idea of a challenge. He believes, he's stating here, this is a statement, AI will be the pivotal technology. Something is pivotal, it means it's the most important thing. It's going to change how things are done. So it's a really important technology that will help us achieve this these progress in going against these challenges there. We have a moral imperative, so we are obliged to do this. We need to do a moral obligation is kind of what it means. Morally, how can we not use technology that will help save lives or improve our lives? That's his argument here. So we have a moral imperative to realize this promise, to really do this thing, while also at the same time we need to control the peril. Peril means danger. So we have to, while we're using this new technology that's going to help us in so many ways, we also have to control the possibilities of danger. And his final sentence is, it won't be the first time we've succeeded in doing this. So you succeed in doing different things. So like his last up here where he talked about the fire and different things, humans have been able to use new technologies, even though they might be like a double-edged sword. They might have good and bad things about them. We have succeeded in using the good things and controlling the bad things. Okay, before we have a discussion about this article, does anybody have any questions about vocabulary? Lots of vocabulary that I went over, so you might be new for you. That's okay. Anything you want me to explain better or go over? No? Okay. So, Oscar, what do you think about this article? Would you agree with the author that it's okay to be optimistic and that humans will be able to control this technology, or would you disagree with him and are you more worried about the future?
Well, it depends on how do you organize or create, modify the artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do it for the evil, I mean.
Ego, yeah, like an egotistical reason, yeah, just for your glory or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be dangerous for the humanity. Yes.
Or if you were wanting power, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. For example, if you want to retrieve personal information from other people.
Yeah, okay. Maybe
yeah.
criminal.
Yeah.
Criminal reasons, yeah.
Yeah. For that's not a good way to use the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that we have to control all this information and intelligence, because somebody can stall that and make some modifications, and it will not have the humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has a very optimistic viewpoint, saying that humans, yes, even though there might be good and bad things about different technologies, humans usually use it in a good way. Patricia, would you agree with his argument about that?
I agree on the whole, but I don't agree with the fact that I trust in human beings, but I don't trust in social systems, because there are a lot of economical interests in artificial intelligence, and I definitely don't trust in this kind of systems that they exist for, like you have said before, their own glory.
Mm-hmm.
So where there is an economical interest in, it's impossible to control the ethics guidelines.
Yeah. When you say that, I'm kind of thinking about maybe a similar thing where maybe businesses are allowed to like pollute the environment. So we have examples of like what you're saying is when you have a economic interest, you're kind of allowed to do things that aren't necessarily good for a population or a society. Or would that be true? What you're saying like that? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, is that what I mean? That sometimes they don't put money for the progress of the artificial intelligence for the good for the humankind, but
Mm.
for the good for their enterprises.
Yeah, we could say something like maybe just for a narrow business interest. So narrow meaning it's just for them, their own like financial interests maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Certainly that would be a concern. What do you think, Alexei? Would you agree with the optimism in this article, or would you be more skeptical or pessimistic?
Oh, I always optimistic. I have always optimistic mood, but I think in the future the artificial and intelligence can help the humanity to explore and discover other planet in our universe, and I think it would be helpful because I think uh, uh, it seems to me the human can uh, have war which is with each other more common than the artificial intelligence defeat the human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the common war is more share between people than artificial intelligence, like in films, film Terminator or
Yeah.
Matrix or
Uh-huh.
other movies.
Yeah.
It
So
would be
you're
a kind of sky fiction.
science fiction, yeah.
Yes, it a little percentage would a possibility if it would be in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
My,
you
my,
think that in general, the use of artificial intelligence will improve human life? Do you think it's going to make our life
yes,
better?
yes, of course. I think it
Okay.
would be life better because we can use artificial intelligence to discover other planet because the uh, mm, common human have a particular period of life. It's
Mm-hmm.
6 or 60 or 70 years, and it's a very little period of time to discover other
Mm.
galaxy or explore our universe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so being able to go beyond our planet even.
Because
Yeah.
now we have not a very lot of sources in our planet, and we need a new sources, and we can how can I say to get it from other planet. I think it would be a big crisis or disaster in our planet. I think it would be in nearest future.
Did you see the movie Interstellar?
Yes, exactly.
Something like that? Yeah.
Yes, a very, very interesting point of view in this film, I think, because when two relative peoples meet in the future, and when the father see how they sons or daughters die, would be very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. What do you think, Greg, when you read this article?
Well, I'm far more pessimistic than the author of this text. If you create a list of ethics rules and it will be safe point by point, you can be sure that someone will be interested to do exactly the same thing but in the opposite way. So they will broke it point by point. And I think it's not really about the economic desire, but it has something to do that people will just facing the problems and they will just want to use it in his own way. So, for example, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago I saw the robots created as future soldiers who will be fighting instead of just the normal soldiers. So that's one of the things. So we can imagine that, when we are fighting with the human, we can really escape from them to make it, outsmart them. But if you start fighting human with the robots, you can easily imagine that there's no chance to really. In more situations, there will be far more intelligence fighting with the people, and will be really destructive. This kind of war. So I'm not really. I like technology, but I like things that they are doing with many different areas. But I always think that it works in two ways.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, I was laughing because as you were explaining robots like maybe fighting the wars instead of humans or something, I was thinking, why don't we just go to right now instead of fighting, they just play video games with each other or something, Obama and whoever else. It's like that's funny.
I think the problem is that many of the governments usually use the war in this way. It's not really the problem with the technology or video games, but some countries use the war is for them to defense, and so in this case they're interested in protection of civils. We can imagine if some of these robots will be used by the country who actually just want to terrorize the civils and use the propaganda. So in this case, they will be still using the technology to create newspapers, to use the computers, and they have, real power in their hands if they have these robots. So I see that it works in two ways. We have to remember that technology is just a tool, and it doesn't matter what people think, how they should use it. People just don't respect the agreements.
That's true.
I don't even read the agreements of any programs, but mostly I respect them.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how this kind of thing.
Yeah. Patricia, you mentioned about the idea that they're investing so much in the military application of AI, and so that's a big push for that type of thing. Did you want to say more about that?
Well, I think this is something that we can see every day in televisions, for example, with the drones, these famous machines that doesn't need a person to be pilot.
Yeah, pilot.
Pilot, and every time we see this progress, this improvement in military arms, and it's not the same in medical researches or for example, in the Ebola crisis.
Yeah.
This human crisis, we don't have the same artificial intelligence in our service than in defense system.
Yeah. So, are you mentioning that as a way to say maybe you're more skeptical about how people want to use artificial intelligence, and not just for the good of humanity, maybe?
Yeah, I am absolutely skeptical about this.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Greg was saying, still it's going to be humans creating these things and using them for specific purposes, and then yeah, why and what for, and does it really benefit lots of people or just small groups of people who have power? Oscar, what do you think about that idea of maybe some people who will be able to use this but not for good?
Yes, as you know, there are some people who want to do bad things, do bad actions, and wants to, for example, to control all the people, or um, wants to get benefits from the artificial intelligence in a bad way.
Yeah.
And I think that we should have a control over the new technology. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Alexi, what do you think about virtual reality? About the yeah.
Yes, I think it will be a very interesting technology in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely trying to create more and more, uses. Of course, like Patricia's mentioning, a lot of it is military use. The military gets a lot of money, so they have a lot of funding for this type of technology, some of which sometimes goes into other uses, sometimes for the good of humanity, sometimes just to make more money, more video games or something like this. But it's definitely something that's interesting. And not everybody wants to live in this world, but a lot of people do like the idea of using technology, almost like integrating humans with machines. Basically, this idea of being part human, part machine, or something. So
I think it would be better for studying English because we can sit in a virtual class and
yeah,
see each other, and it would be
talk. Yeah,
so it
yeah.
would be very, very interesting.
It could make it a lot more efficient. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
That's true. And in some days in the future, some people think you won't even have to learn any languages because you'll just have an automatic translator. But then we have to decide, what world do we want to live in? Is that a better thing or is it not? Some people think it is. Some people think it's not. So, yeah. These are interesting questions to think about in the future. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for coming and reading the article, and I hope you had a good time and learned some new things and something that we won't know until the future. So hopefully we'll be around to see what happens. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Goodbye.